Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us at zinniawealth.com, Zinnia wealth.com. And we hope that you find us as well and sit down with Sharice and have a meeting about your retirement. Give us a call, 833-368-3680. All right, so one of the things that is pretty common, and I hear this in my own family, is you sit down with a financial advisor and you want to know when should I, file for Social Security, and they throw that joke at you and say, well, tell me how long you're going to live and I'll tell you when to file. Okay, great. But that is one of the things that happens is we say, well, we're going to build this plan to 95 or 100. And you look at your financial advisor and go, are you out of your mind? I'm not going to live that long. And so if you say, for instance, you retire at 62 and you say, I'm going to build a 20-year retirement, that puts you to 82. Well, a lot of people live longer than 82, And Sharice, let's talk about this. Is this a problem that people think they're not going to live that long, so they feel they don't have to plan that long for their finances?
Oh my gosh, I hear this over and over and over again. Some people believe they're going to live a long life. They want to be ready. And some people think, Sharice, I got 10 years. 20 years ago, I met my first client that said, Sharice, I'm going to die in 10 years. And I looked at him, I'm like, you better not on my watch. I'm like, that. I don't want that. I'd like you guys way too much. 20 years later, he's still here.
There you go.
We laughed about it. He's like, you were right, Sharice. And planning for a long life is important. And that is a headwind to retirement. And so we just don't want to assume that you're going to pass away at 82. Let's just plan for 90, 95, especially if grandma and grandpa lived the 90s. I mean, they weren't even supposed to live that long, remember? They're supposed to pass away in their 60s, but they didn't. So that was back then. And look at now with all the artificial intelligence and all the things out there that's helping us be better with our health. I mean, health is just on the rise. People are living it, breathing it, wanting to be better. And if your parents were unhealthy, you're probably much more healthy. Even if there are ailments that you can't stop, you're probably going to live longer. So we need to plan for that. So that's a big thing. You got to plan for long-term care. So, you could be 82 and you think you're going to pass away, but your memory goes, and now you're in a long-term care facility. And if you're healthy, you can be there for 10 to 15 years. And if you're married, you're going to leave a spouse financially destitute if you don't come up a plan for that longevity phase of life, right? That's why we work with our elder attorneys and implement a long-term care plan without buying long-term care insurance. So we're really big in helping our clients, not just with tax planning and income planning and the stock market stuff. We're talking about elder planning down the way. We got a long ways to go. And, Randy, I want to bring up a buddy of mine. He's a hedge fund manager. He used to be anyways. And now he just manages funds. He sent me a book called Die with Zero.
Okay. I've heard of it. Yeah.
John
McKnight.
John McKnight. So I started reading it. And it's everything that we ooze here at Zinnia and that we talk about on radio. And it's memory dividends. Memories, creating memories. And let's say you're 62 and you think you're going to pass away at 82. Maybe that does happen. So my question is, if you're going to live, I would still think that's a long life to live. What are you doing with those 20 years of your life? What memories are you making that will be lasting to your grandkids and your kids and other people around you? And because the one thing you don't want to be in is in a long-term care facility, and then all of a sudden you're veering close to death, and then you're just thinking about, I just want my family here. I just wish I would have done more. I wish I would have done more. I have heard that so many times, Randy. I wish I would have done more and not feared running out of money and would have come up with a plan. But at the end of the day, people fear running out of money. They feel like the most important thing is I need to average 6 to 10% a year. And that's not the most important thing, right? And if you read the Bible, it's not the most important thing. It's the memories, it's a family, it's who you serve, it's a legacy you leave in memories and in that servitude. So I just have to, tell people, like, living a long life, you could live to your 90s. I got somebody who's 98 that I saw them when they were, 80, and they're still here. And it's amazing. And I ask him all the time, what are you doing to just keep going. He's like, I'm spending time with my family. I'm creating memories. And this is what we do here. And it's just a really gratifying thing to see people actually leaning in and doing those things because it's important. Because the last thing you're going to care about when you're on a deathbed is how much money I made.
Yeah.
You're going to think about, hey, what kind of memories did I make?
That's really
right?
putting it in perspective for right now as well, because if everything that's going on right now has really got you shook up and you're losing money, and I get it because I'm doing the same thing and I hate it. Everybody does. But ask yourself this. When it comes to your life, what are you up against? Who are you competing against here? What are you trying to build your dividends? And is it the stock market? Are you trying to beat the S&P? Is that going to give you joy? Are you going to beat the Dow? Is that going to give you joy? No. What you're trying to do here is you're trying to build memories in your life. Like Cherise says, you're trying to build experiences in your life. And that is, you want to put the money with it, of course. That's what we do here at Zinnia Wealth, is help you put the money together to build those memories. And Cherise, maybe that's a kind of a perspective kind of thing right now that we should think of. Yeah, money comes, money goes. We need to have money to live. But at the same time, we want to use that money to build those memories and not take joy in we're always in the green and we're hitting our goals. But what are the goals?
Randy, you pegged it. I talk about joy all the time. I don't talk about it on radio. Like, I'm just a joyful person. I'm excited to wake up the next day and what's next in life and who can I help and what's the journey like? And you should be like that in retirement. The retirement journey is creating those memories. Go pay for a cruise and go on a Disney cruise like one of my clients just did with all their grandkids and just have a blast. Go rent a house over the holidays in North Carolina for 2 or 3 weeks. If you got the money and you got the plan set up to do so, and just tell the kids, I know they're busy, they're all working, say, come when you can, and just make it available to them. Go down to the Keys, go rent a house over the summer for a couple weeks, say, come when you can, create those memories. Just know that you're grounded and you're planted, and they just know you're there and you're just waiting for them to come. And that's the big part of that retirement journey is joy. And if you've never had joy in your life, by golly, by retirement, you better have some joy. And if you don't, you get in here. I'm going to motivate the joy in you, because that is what I want people to do. I want to give you hope. I want to inspire you. Joy is what people need. And it's one thing that so many people miss out on, right?
Come on in and Cherise go shake her finger and say, you need more joy in your life.
I know. It's so important. Because I'm so joyful. I love so many things in life. Even when the things get rough, I'm just like, I'm good. Let's go. Let's plow through it. And people need that.
That
and
is
I'm going
true.
to be your pusher in retirement.
You're the girl who was on Fear Factor. You are the person in retirement who is encouraging people to get out there and enjoy their money. I mean, that is one thing that over the 12 years, 13 years that we've been together, Cherise, some of my favorite stories of you with people in the office are when you look at people and say, you're not having enough fun. You're not spending enough money. Don't you come back here until you book that cruise. I want the pictures for when you're, frolicking around with penguins in Antarctica. That's what I want to see. And don't come in here until you do. And that's
so true.
I mean, we're not going to shake our finger at you and saying, hey, you made a lot of mistakes in your life. You're not going to have a great retirement. You got to go back to where, you know what? Yes, there are times when the news is great, the news is good, the news is not so good. But we're going to work through all of that. What we want to do is say, go have some fun. Enjoy your retirement. You earned this. And Cherise, I think that's one of the things that makes you kind of jazzed about what you do, is to see people do that.
Yeah, a pastor recently said, Cherise, you are guided by a light. And he's like, I've never seen so much joy in somebody. And he says, I even look for that. He's like, you're definitely led by God. And you just see that you just have this vision. And he said, I can't imagine what your clients feel like when they come in and see you. Like, you must rain and shower that on them. And I hope I do. And after that comment, I said, you know what? I need to make sure I do more of that. So you accidentally brought up joy, which is such a big part of our lives and that we should have. And then if you're younger and you're listening and you're in your 40s and 50s, you can create joy too. There's so many different ways. And we hope to spread that amazing madness around our Ocala and Gainesville and the Villages area, because all of you deserve it and you all work so hard.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 833-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Sharice Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.